Hi, I'm Jeff Gonzalez, president of Trident Concepts, and today I want to talk to you about situational awareness. So recently I was traveling, and during my travels, I'm traveling during this pandemic, and we have a lot of crazy happening. And there are some people that are, for lack of a better term, just batshit crazy. And they're coming out of the woodworks. So your ability to maintain situational awareness is now even more important than it ever has been in the past. Because now social discourse is pretty much a thing of the past. So on a recent trip, I had a confrontation that really redefined for me the importance behind situational awareness as far as teaching it to the grander or the bigger picture, the larger audience, if you will. So as I'm kind of going about my business in a region of the states that was a good state, it's a very well-traveled state, and they also had a spike that is also rescinded. So while I'm moving from my vehicle back into the hotel, I'm out by my vehicle and I'm getting things ready and I get approached by somebody. So right off the bat, what I tell people is whenever you're occupied outside around your vehicle, it is very important that you start to take in your surroundings. So once I decided to unpack and get ready to go into my hotel room, the first thing that I did was I stepped out of the vehicle. Actually, even before then, I parked in an area that I had good vantage points, that I could see things around me. And then as soon as I got out of my vehicle, I noticed that there was a group of people standing over by their vehicle. Once I saw them, I just kind of noted them. Okay, there's a group of people. Actually, and I think there was actually only really two people. From there, I went ahead to start unpacking, and that's exactly what I was doing. I was reconfiguring my loadout in my vehicle, moving things around, getting things ready for the next day. I was doing all of this, and I'm by my vehicle, by myself, when I get approached by this couple, if you will, that starts to complain that I'm not wearing a mask. Well, whatever your position is on wearing a mask is irrelevant. The fact that somebody could approach you and actually have a confrontation as a result of that is what I'm talking about. And so I recognized that they were approaching me. Now, my gut instinct right off the bat is to assume that they have less than good intentions. And so I immediately started to change my posture, change my positioning, because I was concerned that this could get ugly. And I don't want to say that I prompted it or preempted it, but it did get ugly as far as the conversation goes. So, when you're engaging with people that are, for lack of a better term, they're hysterical. They're lacking the ability to actually reason and have logic prevail. So you can't really get anywhere with them. And all I needed to do was just make sure that they did not pose any significant threat to me. I did ask them to maintain a 6-foot distance from me, and that's one of the things that I wanted to reference. Is like, hey, that's a thing. We can actually use that as ammunition, if you will, that you need to back off. You need to step back 6 feet. Now, the thing that I like about that is that puts them outside of that immediate danger zone, if you will. They're still close, but they've got to back up, and they're going to telegraph their actions if they're going to try to do anything from there. And so you get this right off the bat, because if they're promoting the masks, then they should also be promoting that 6-foot radius. And if they're not willing to back off that 6-foot radius, you know right off the bat that you're not dealing with somebody that's going to be compliant and cooperative. They're not going to be able to see your concern. Like, okay, well, you might be wearing a mask, but you're encroaching on my 6-foot radius. So we're kind of like at an impasse here. And they didn't, of course, they didn't. And I continued to try to disengage, or not disengage, but just try to de-escalate that situation. And it was futile. It wasn't going anywhere. So that's the other thing. You need to be able to understand when you need to cut bait and go, which was pretty much, for me, right then and there. I closed the trunk, I had all my gear, and I basically escaped into the hotel. And I went into my hotel room. Now, could they have followed me? Of course they could have. They could have followed me and continued to badger me and all that other business. But at that point, I'm leaving. I am escaping. If they continue to pursue me and things get really bad, they've really put themselves in a compromising position. If they attempt to make entry into my hotel room, they really made some huge mistakes. So folks, this was something that happened very recently, and as I kind of process this information, one of the things that I come across is that we need to start thinking about this. We need to also start thinking about how we're going to handle it. We need to also start thinking about how the rules of engagement are slightly changing and how we can use those rules of engagement to our benefit. So I hope that you all don't have to experience that. I hope that you all don't ever have to engage with somebody that is that hysterical in their beliefs, if you will. But the reality is that we're probably going to see a lot more of this. So what you need to do to protect yourself is probably going to be a little bit different than what we've done in the past. I'd love to hear any stories. If you had similar experiences, I'd love to hear them. Please feel free to post them down below. Until then, I'm Jeff Gonzalez. Take care and stay safe.